Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. My name is Adam Abou-Shehada and this is ZIN Talk. Today's guest is the fabulous Donna Giffen. Now guys, before I bring her on, can you say hello, say hi in the comments below? We are taking in questions as well. We'll try and answer as many as we can. Okay guys, there is a poll as well. There's a poll on the Facebook element of this stream. So if you just answer with a yes or no, that would be fabulous. Okay. Okay, now let's just bring her on. Hey, Donna.
Wait, I need my big entrance.
Yeah. Bless you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Bless you, and thank you. You're in Plymouth today as well. I've literally got her in the office.
We're opposite one another.
Yes. Yes, but obviously I have to operate this stream, so that is why we have two separate cameras going on today. So, shall we go on to the first question?
Let's do it.
Brilliant. So, can you tell us how you came about Zumba and the start of your journey as a ZES?
Yes, so I was actually living in the States. So I was living in LA. I'd been there for, was it end of my first, no, it was actually the end of the whole time I was there. Been there for 3 years, and I'd come across on something a little bit like our Gumtree that said looking for people who know basic Zumba moves. Like Zumba. So I looked at what Zumba is. So literally my last 2 weeks of living in the States before I came back here, I discovered it. So I went along to a class, loved it. And then when I came back here, I thought this would be cool. Says they do trainings on the website. So I looked into it. So I came back to the UK in the January and there wasn't a training available until the July. So I did my B1 in the July of that year, 2008. But I was doing theatre and TV, and I didn't want to, I wanted something in between, because if you're in that industry, you end up doing a lot of in between jobs, maybe things that you don't want to do, aren't using your other skills, allowing you to be creative. So that I want something for in between contracts that is fun, that's uplifting, it's maybe physical. So I thought this might be a cool thing, because before Zumba, it would feel like if you were going into any kind of dance fitness industry, it wouldn't necessarily be accessible. It'd be like starting again or going down a whole new avenue. But the way the Zumba, they did their trainings and the way they delivered that final package with the product, I thought this is actually something, I could do it in between contracts. So I started doing that. And that was in 2008. So I was touring, I was doing different jobs. And then on a Sunday, I was teaching a weekly class. And then when I finished the tour, that was the March or April 2009, and then I started another class, and that was in the crazy days where we had 120, 140, then 170, then like 260 people, in one class, Sunday afternoon, Wednesday evening. So that's how we got started. Then they were looking for people to be the early trainers. So Naomi, you probably remember Naomi. She was the very first trainer in the UK, and Caroline Parsons, now. What's Caroline's new name?
Crow. It's Crow, yeah.
Sorry, Caroline. Caroline Parsons. She's always Parsons. So we came to at the same time. We saw those auditions and interviews for these trainers for this company. I thought that's something I really would love to do. And it was actually Tanya Beardsley. So for those that have been around for a long time, you remember Tanya. I thought whatever she does, if that's what she does, I want to do that. She just had this wonderful reach, this incredible presence, and she was so inspiring to so many people. That would be a really cool thing to be involved with. So that's how I started. So 2009, and I was doing the trainings in between jobs, and then it just took over. So it ticked enough boxes for me to step away from performing that it was similar enough, but also something very different, and started the trainings. And it was cool because it took off. It was when it was very new and very exciting for people, so it was a really good time to be involved with it.
Oh, that's awesome. So you took your B1 in 2008, was that right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite some time ago, actually.
And a lot of the people who came to my first classes, I took it in the July, and I was going on tour this September. I started, I think, my class the very last week in August or first week in September. A lot of those people are still coming to the classes 12 years later. So,
yeah, that's what you get, Zumba community.
I know.
Especially up in, was it Edinburgh at the time, was it?
So, yeah, I'm in Falkirk, so just in between Glasgow and Edinburgh, and it was the very first class in Scotland. And of course, when something is very new, particularly, you'll remember this if you were one of the very early people doing Zumba, or the people in your community hadn't come to it. You were their first instructor, so their first class experience, all the giggles like, wait, we're shaking what? Wait, we're doing what? We're doing an air guitar? I don't think so. So yeah, it was, and I was surrounded by performers my whole life. So for me, I wasn't aware that people would feel it weird to do all these things. So it was a cool learning experience for me too. So
It does wear off though, doesn't it? I remember my first class. It took me like maybe actually a month. Being a guy, obviously, it's a bit different.
It's a bit different. No, it maybe takes a while to get used to, but it's good. It was just all those breaking down barriers and all the giggling that happened and all like people like randomly looking at one another like she's a bit crazy. It's cool.
Definitely. So we've got a lot of people here. We've got Sarah Webb.
Hi, Sarah.
We've got Anna Lee. She's from Sweden, and yeah, Sarah Webb loves Donna Giffen.
Oh, thank you.
Got Kieran, got Gail Patterson.
Hi, Gailey.
Got Jade. You got Elaine, says hello. Sharon Taylor.
Yes.
We've got Guillaume.
Hi, Guy.
Mr. Guy.
Mr. Silver Hair. Mr. Silver Hair.
Oh yeah, I like his new haircut actually.
Yes, very, very
It is
different.
really nice, definitely. Oh, it's good. We got Daryl as well.
Hi, Daryl.
Brilliant. What was that? That's amazing. Same people coming for 12 years. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Some nice comments in there. Sarah Webb, she did Pro Skills with you, and she said it was amazing.
Pro Skills is amazing. It's really cool training, and I'm probably one of the more memorable for people as well because they take away so much from it. So I think it has the biggest impact on instructors.
Definitely, that's probably one of my favourite trainings, especially done by Donna Giffen. She was, well, it was amazing, seriously.
I'm gonna get you
No,
brownie points.
hilarious. No, but it is awesome. Seriously, Donna, it was amazing, to be honest. I would do it again with you.
Did you? You did it in Swindon though when Hender hosted.
Yeah,
the
I
very
did
first
it.
Time. Yeah,
I've been
I
trying to
remember
do
that.
it again. I mean, obviously I missed your last one in
Yeah.
October, but that was...
But I think it's worth doing if you do it twice, to do it with somebody different, because even though the content is the same, the person's individual experience gives something very different.
They have a different presentation, a different perspective.
Yeah, and also different experience based on the country that you're in. Because I'm coming from my experience as an instructor and trainer in this country, but I'm lucky because obviously I've travelled elsewhere and I can bring that information back. But I think it's really nice to get input from somebody that teaches maybe in a different scenario, a different situation, because we are very much a community class country. Obviously, a lot more gyms now, but in the very beginning, we started in the community because the gyms didn't really want us initially, which you can understand. So we all started on the schools and the gyms halls, the games halls, the church halls, the community halls. So that's a very different experience to a country maybe somewhere else in Europe where they're predominantly a gym environment, a gym country. And in the States, when I talk pro skills in the States, you're dealing with different issues from instructors, so you have to address it differently. So it's really cool. Really cool.
So I was just laughing. Elaine's on here again. She says, I was slapping Donna's bum last night virtually.
I've seen some footage, people posting, yeah. Not me, them.
Yeah, it was Elaine. Yeah, she does it. Actually, yeah, I've seen her Instagram
Yeah, she had a few
stories. She's got
shots.
funny stuff on there.
That's
bless
allowed.
her. Definitely.
It's for Hender's birthday, that's allowed.
Fair enough. So, what trainings did you run, and which is your favourite? Your favourite was Pro Skills?
Yeah, so I ran B1, B2. I also did Zumba Atomic back in the old days when Zumba Kids was Zumba Atomic. B1, B2, Zumba Atomic, which I then gave up, and then I was doing Pro Skills, but also Sintao, Zumba Sintao, which I love, which they only teach at convention now. I love B2. I really love B2, particularly in the early days, because after B1, boom, everyone went out into this craze, and there wasn't a huge forum at the time. So the forum that we had was the only place where people could really connect, because Facebook wasn't really huge then. We didn't have this community on Facebook. So the forum was where everybody connected, and you didn't really get a lot of answers. You needed help once you were up and running. And so B2 was like just a massive therapy session. It was really, really, really cool. And I loved B2. But I think Pro Skills, them all.
There's a lot of Pro Skills. Pro Skills, Guillaume says Pro Skills is his favourite. Zoe Bromley, she agrees as well. You've got Leela Hella Smithson, she says Pro Skills is amazing. That's basic as well. What is it?
I have a wonderful story with Leila.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, because we did Pro Skills in Sunderland-ish up northeast. And for those that have taken Pro Skills, you know, and if you haven't, a little bit of insight for if you go take it elsewhere. But we talk about how to politely start and move on with the class when people want to connect with you. You know, when they first come in because they're excited to see you. But we don't want to say, okay, get out of the way, I need to start the class. You know, how do you deal with that? Because you obviously, you want to connect with people, you want to be available, but also you've got a lot of setup to do and want to make sure we're available to the whole class. So we're talking about the different tools that we can use, different skills, body language to make that a nice experience, just to say, you know, absolutely, come and chat to me at the end of the class. I'll just set up and I'll come and chat with you later. Thank you for saying hi, kind of thing, you know. So we talked about it on the Saturday at the Pro Skills. Then the Sunday night, I had a masterclass and Layla came running up. Layla is the best hugger ever. She gives you the best hugs. Huge, huge hug. And she was chatting to me and I truly had to set up the speakers. And I said, Layla, I'm so sorry, I'll catch you at the end. Let me just set up the speakers. And I did my body language with it. It wasn't intentional. It's not manipulated experience. And she said, okay, okay. And she walked away and she went, you just pro-skilled me. Because she'd done the training the day before and then got the experience of it the Sunday night. And I was like, yes, I did. I'm so sorry. She's like, no, it's fine. It was good. It was a good experience. So it's funny, you get to see like afterwards how changed instructors are by it. And I think that's the favourite thing for me. Like the B1s were incredible in the early days. In the beginning, I loved it because it was new and it was different and exciting. But then I think for me, it's the Pro Skills being able to take, not you to take people somewhere, but just to pick apart that little thing that maybe they have here that's been trained by a particular experience, maybe with your class, or it's a gym environment, so you feel you have to because you listen to what other instructors say, or maybe your class are quiet, so you're quiet. It's just like picking away that little veil that allows people to just step forward and be, I don't know, like a bigger version of themselves, and that is lovely to see. Always tears in Pro Skills. Always
nice.
tears.
You know, Donna, I've taken it twice. Okay, I did it in Lille with you
yes,
and Steve and Gina Grant, and obviously I wasn't. I was a ZIN for not very long, you know. But it was the second time that I actually, you know, appreciated Pro Skills. The time I took it with you. It does kind of, when you mature as an instructor, it does really help add those bits, you know, it gives you a bit more character and understanding and...
Yeah. But I think it's good, like when you first do it and you go away and you think, I don't know if I can implement any of this. I don't, because it feels like you're going back as an imposter,
lot, to be honest.
right?
Yeah,
you're going back as a new
start,
person. Yeah, when you first start. It's like going back as a completely new person, well, my class think I'm fake. Because we're asking you to maybe change some stuff. Stop looking at me.
I know, I can see you looking at me, I'm turning as well.
But I think when you come back, you already come back more confident, a little bit more alive, already having implemented some things, and you think, well, actually, I'm going to go again and take it higher. Gail, who's on, Gail Patterson, she'll correct me here, she's done 6 Pro Skills?
There was actually Rhea Martin from Michigan, she said she'd done it 7 times with Barbara Clons.
Oh, with Barb, yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. But Hannah Nissan,
yeah,
or XZG, she's done it maybe 5 or 6 times with me as well. So I think it's worth doing, and do it with.
She did mention that, so yeah, definitely. No, it is an awesome. Yeah, it's one of my favorites, to be honest. But it was interesting to hear about the B2, that being one of your favorite. I think at the start it was something like people were loving Zumba so much that they wanted something else. Do you see what I mean?
They wanted something else, and they needed the support. Because things were happening in class that you weren't prepared for, because we can't really prepare you for it at B1. You know, it's like, hey, welcome to this amazing thing, but by the way, just so you know, when you get out there, you can't do that. People have to leave feeling, you know, capable and like what they're looking for is attainable and it's achievable without, it's not that it's a negative things happen, but there are things come up in classes in different situations that instructors need help with, and you can't deal with that B1. So when people came to B2, they were like, help, this happened, what do I do? You know, because a lot of people were coming to this without prior experience of either teaching fitness or just holding a room, holding space for people, which I think can be the most challenging thing for people. So yeah, it was like therapy, it was amazing.
You got Sandra Harns, she said, I did my B1 with Donna.
Hi Sandra Harns!
Bless. There you go.
Everybody remembers Sandra Harns from her early days. Like, who's the girl with the pink hair and the cool shoes? She's amazing. In fact, Sandra Harn's B2 was in the B2 when I tore my calf. I tore my calf in the warm-up. We'd just got back from the ZES meeting in the States. We'd been back for 2 days. And I went straight into a B2. I tore my calf in the warm-up. And it's one of the most memorable trainings in Scotland. And I remember because I was like, who's this person? She was awesome. So.
Oh, brilliant. So yeah, there's a lot of,
Okay, I'll stop.
A lot of love. There's brilliant. So you appeared in at least a couple of ZIN volumes, ZIN 41 and ZIN 43. How was that experience for you?
It's interesting, and I'm doubting just because it's like how do I put that into words, because ZIN has changed a lot since then. The ZIN volumes have changed. So at that time, ZIN 41, well, ZIN 39, which was Steve, 40 was Michael from Australia, Michael
Thomas,
and then I was 41. So all three of them were filmed in a row, but mine was first. So mine happened on the Monday after the ZES meeting. So that batch, that was the new way, because you remember in the old days we used to do like a breakdown. So it was a breakdown of the steps first, and then it would be taught, you know, then they'd have the playback afterwards. But what was happening was that people were thinking that was the way to teach. Even though it was explained at B1, with the ZIN volumes coming the way they were, it was like, here's the breakdown of the steps, now let's put them into a choreography. So it didn't quite match, you know, what we were saying at the trainings. So they said, okay, let's remove that, let's try this new format, and we're going to do it without the breakdown of the steps. So my one was the guinea pig. So even though I was 41, when we filmed it was the guinea pig. So because, I mean, if you've been to any of my classes, you know, I'm like, like a bit of a dramatic tornado. So to not be allowed to do any of that, to not to sing, to not to make facial expressions, now it's different now. It's just that when we transitioned to that way, Beto's like, no, no smile. I'm like, So I had to keep my face straight. It's like very basic, because it was a trial. And of course it evolved then. So it was a good experience, but it also wasn't, because I felt like I was like, somebody had me stuck and trapped because I couldn't express or teach the way I wanted to. But it was just because it was the experiment for the new way. So it was a cool experience, but also they put me in sleeves. And I had begged them, do not put me in sleeves. But they put me in these blue sleeves with orange bottoms. So I looked like a can of iron brew, which was awesome for a Scot. But they put me in sleeves and I sweat a lot. So they had to keep pausing and blow drying my armpits. Was the thing. My shirt kept coming up, so they had to pin me to the... So it took like 10 hours. 10 hours to film all these things. So it was cool. But it was like... It's kind of traumatizing. But it was awesome. Then the one, ZIN 43 with Wally in Prague, was a bit weird as well. Yeah, just because we didn't know each other. So, and that was in the days where things had to be still quite straight before we really started talking about pro skills, about the way to engage. So I feel like the programme has changed so much then. So if I look back at what those are, I'm like, ugh, who's that person? That's an alien, that's weird. Please don't watch those, don't teach like that. It's not that it's that, it's just that it's evolved, we've changed. So they were cool experiences, but yeah.
That was good. So Beto, he was coaching you through it. It was an interesting time by the sounds of things.
Yeah, no, Beto was fun. I have a good relationship with Beto, because he just goes, okay, wild woman, okay, you decide.
Wild woman.
we have fun, so.
Yeah, so you have a background in performing arts. How have you brought that into your Zumba classes?
I think it helped the most because you don't have that barrier to get over. Like, you have no shame. If you're in the arts, so anyone watching will know this, you're a performer. It's like, okay, we need you to bark like a dog wearing this. I'm like, okay, how much you paying me? You don't have limits, you don't have barriers, you do what you do. So you don't have that initial weirdness of standing up in front of people. So I think that was actually one of the most valuable things to come from the performing industry into this, because I think it's one of the hardest things to teach. When I was teaching the trainings, we're doing pro skills. That's what I feel like we spent the most time on. I feel was the most valuable for people, was just standing up and holding that space and not feeling embarrassed doing things that can feel embarrassing. You know, like stepping out from in front of your class and be like, yeah. You know, that can be weird for people to step forward into their space. But I think when you've come from that background and that's not embarrassing, you get paid for it. That was cool to do. And like I say, it ticked enough boxes, Zumba, to be able for that to be something I could step away from that industry for at that time, you know, because there was a performance element. But I think the best part about that for me was being able to pull that out of people, because it's like you have to be shameless, don't you? At the front, you have to be the clown, you have to be the crazy one, in order to give them permission. It's like, okay, I want you to do this, but if you don't do it yourself.
Yeah, it's like a license almost. She's done it, I can't.
Yeah, so I think it helped the most in that way, for sure.
Brilliant. So what do you love? So is there a rhythm, a favorite rhythm that you love? Is that a tough one, is it?
Salsa and bachata and cumbia.
I agree with you. No, those two are my favorite as well. So no,
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. I thought those two were.
Yeah, because I say salsa and bachata, and I'm like, oh, but I also love cumbia. Yeah, those I think. But also, it changed a little bit more for me. Like I always loved salsa, but I felt very disconnected from it. Because I would watch myself physically, and I always felt very strange doing it. You know, whereas I didn't feel like I looked good doing salsa initially. And I've talked about this when I was teaching the pro skills, so if you were there, you know the story. But it's like, because my pinkies, my fingers don't close, they're open. So whenever I was dancing, all I saw was my pinkies and these kind of weird flailing arms. So until you see yourself recording the ZIN volume, you're like, why did nobody tell me?
I remember something about merengue arms and Tanya Beardsley, isn't that right?
With the merengue arms, the Tanya.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
But like I used to look at a lot of her stuff because she was very, boom, boom. She was solid, but she was also graceful at the same time. And I was never really graceful. So when I looked back at those initial salsa choreo, when you see yourself, you know, in the ZIN volumes. So remember the first one, all I could see was these flailing arms. I was like, okay, no. So when ZIN 43 came out, all you see is this, because I was trying not to be on flailing arms. I went in the other extreme. But what helped hugely with that was going social dancing, because I'd always wanted to learn salsa. And I remember the Zest auditions and interviews in Germany with Caroline, I remember this. So I must have looked like I could salsa okay, because we were all up on stage with Beto. Bear in mind, we were being auditioned for this role in front of all these people at the FIBO expedition in Germany. We're all like doing our best to come across as well as we could, and Beto pulls me forward to salsa, and I was like, oh. And I totally stiffened up, and he literally went, oh, threw me to the side, completely discarded me. I was traumatized, and I was like, no more. I need to learn. It took me a long time, but anyway, so when I started learning that's when I really fell in love with salsa. I liked it, but I never hugely connected to it because I felt like I was too army. But then when I realised where it came from, like that changed how I taught it, and I completely fell in love with it all over again. So I highly recommend go to social dancing, because it will definitely change how you dance and how you teach.
No, definitely. No, it does help actually, doesn't it?
Are you laughing at me?
No. Anyway, so yeah, no, it's good. Definitely, yeah, I agree with the whole what's it called? Social dancing, salsa, going to salsa class. It really helps, you know, with the form, and because
And I think just to fall in love with what we do and to appreciate where it comes from. Also, as well, there was this element for me of what right do I have to stand up in front of a group of people when there are people that are from that culture, where the music is their culture, the dance is their culture, and to educate when I can't. I felt a bit like an imposter, so it's like I need to really understand where this comes from if I'm going to respectfully stand up in front of people and tell them about their culture, you know, because that was just that was weird.
Definitely, I know with the Beto thing, and I know I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think he really appreciates when people come to something that they hadn't before, because I remember years later, it was at the ZIN Academy actually. I think it was the one that you won your award for something. What did you win your award for? Being the most chatty, wonderful person?
Something like that.
Anyway, so I was like, okay, Beto, dance with me. He's like, really? I was like, listen, I'm better. He was like, okay, small improvement. Then I think it was maybe 2 years after that, we were on the cruise, and Hender and I were dancing, and Beto was like, looking over. It's like,
What's this?
Okay.
She's improved.
I know, it was fun. But it was weird, because when I danced with him, I was like, because he was testing me. You know, I was like, let's see what you can do. Whereas Hender and I are so comfortable, he actually makes me look better than I am. I'm not that good. But Beto wasn't used to that. He's like, okay, you're better. So, but he appreciates that you have that interest and that enthusiasm for something, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people, they love social dancing.
Yeah.
And they say, some say you are amazing at dancing.
Thanks. Hender makes me look good.
Brilliant. No, that's great. So, what do you love most about being a Zumba instructor?
The people. Without doubt, I love the music. I love the dance. I like the freedom of the movement. I love the liberation of it. I love the vitality. But for me, for sure, the people. When you see them in their own little world and they're having a thing, and you've moved on to something else, and they open their eyes, they're like, and they catch up. Or just that thing where, like, if where you maybe do something and you strut forward and you move forward and you just see people just unleash themselves and you catch eyes with them and they're like, yeah, I'm on it, you know. Love it. I absolutely love just the transformation that happens for people in it. It's wonderful, really wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of our friends. I mean, for me, I'm talking myself. You know, my very few friends are to do with Zumba.
Yeah, but a lot of my friends now, I don't have many friends from, like, at school or whatever I did before, but my closest friends that I have now, apart from a couple, came to me through Zumba. So Sandra, Hender, Hannah, a lot of these people, Sue in Arizona. So yeah, wonderful. And also, even though you don't see people very often, just those little connections of Instagram, messages or Facebook messages, and traveling, what we're doing, because we're traveling so much, doing like masterclasses and events, you just get so excited seeing people. And for example, the weekends that Hender and I did, we did like the whopping weekend, so it's like 5 classes over 3 days. By Sunday morning, it's the hardest class. Sunday night, you get your final wind. Sunday morning is the hardest class. You tip up, your feet are sore, your knees are sore, you're completely stiff because you're driving for 5-6 hours at a time in between the places. The minute you open the door and people are there, all your pain is gone, all your the tiredness is gone. You're just absolutely infused and just built up. And it's because the people, they hug and they smile, and it's the people completely make what we do, and it's wonderful. So thank you for coming to all of the events that you do and all the little messages. It's nice.
Brilliant. Ria, she said, what even are non-Zumba friends?
Non-Zumba, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think they left us a long time ago. They're like, Zumba.
Was there a funny moment you had in class or a training?
Oh my, quite a lot. I can remember them. It seems like every class there's something. Or in a training. Oh no, you really put me on the spot.
Yeah, I'll have to think about it.
I have to have a think. No, but I think each there's always something funny or silly that happens. But quite often they're mishaps. Although I don't know if you asked Hannah this question.
Yeah, I have.
Was she honest?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, it wasn't anything wild or anything. Well,
okay, well, she wasn't honest.
Yeah.
Hannah has the craziest mishaps in her classes because she's Hannah. So no, I haven't really had anything weird. I'll think about that and see if something else comes back. But yeah, there's always, funny and wonderful moments.
Yeah. Anyway, we can come back to that one. So, what was your highlight of your time as a ZES?
Highlight of time as a ZES. Seeing the program go from what it was. So when I first met them, so that obviously that's 2008, when I first came into the actual program, it was new, it was in the early days, it was in the beginning, it wasn't commonly known. So to be a part of that journey, the experience from the very beginning of its growth, and to have real connection and accessibility with Beto, with Alberto Perlman, Alberto Aguion, Petra, all these people, and Co, if you guys remember Co would have been on your very
Of course, the very first, even the B1.
Yes,
yeah,
on the
yeah.
B1 with Tanya as well, in those very early days. Before it was really widely known, and also they were just building themselves. So before it was the corporation that it's had to become to exist, you know, when it was just the people, and like to have the privilege of being a part of their dream building, you know, and seeing where for their vision to go where they wanted it to go. That was really cool. To get to the heart of the company before it became harder to do so, because you have so many layers away from it now, you know, so that was wonderful. And I always appreciate that, so that was cool.
Yeah, so we've spoken about the highlights. Was there any challenges at all in your time as a ZES?
Yes, I think most of it though was the things like the exhaustion. So because we were doing so many trainings, because in the beginning something would sell out within 3 hours. So Caroline and Naomi was still in this country before she'd moved away. So we would each do, let's say, 2 or 3 trainings in one weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And each training, there were big spaces we were using. So they maybe had, our maximum was 58 that we were allowed in one training with one ZES. So the 2 or 3 trainings for each of us all sold out within 4 hours. Like as soon as it went on sale, people constantly stocking the website. So you kept going and you kept going, and don't get me wrong, it was wonderful. But I think the only challenge would be the pain side of it, the injury side of it. Then that became manageable because you learn to teach differently, you learn to save your energy. And I think something that I found hard in the early days, and certainly if you were a part of that and you remember that, I found it very difficult not to fight for the underdog, you know, not to defend what we were doing. So because we got a lot of negativity in the beginning and people looking to bring things down, so I always responded. I built the program up, I defended this, and then you went, oh, okay, that's enough. So then I would just delete an unwelcome comment and I'd post something happy shiny about Zumba. Oh, there's another one. Delete something happy shiny about Zumba, because that was my growth too, you know, I had to change with that. So that was a challenge, but that was a personal challenge for me to let people be and to look at posting the opposite, you know, so that was a good lesson too.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, with regards to the question we asked about the funny moment, in the class we had a few comments actually.
Uh-oh.
I think Sandra Harns, she said, Donna caught her hair in her jewellery and just pulled it out and swung it around her head.
Oh, you're right. So we were teaching at the Ribby Hall event. In fact, yeah, I have two of those. So the one before that was in Bulgaria. Thanks, Sandra. That's why we're pals. So I was teaching in Bulgaria and I had a really long feathered earring and I had a nose stud. So being dramatic, I kind of come up like this, and this earring had come around and attached itself to my nose stud. And I was like, so here was like my first minute and a half teaching. But then Sandra Harns and I were teaching at the Ribby Hall event that we have every single year in Preston with Claire Goodliffe. So we were doing something split room. Oh no, it was my pre-cool down. You know, it's Otis Redding from Dirty Dancing. When your baby leaves you all alone. You know, like we crawl across the floor. So I had extensions.
Yeah, I remember clips of that.
Yeah. I had hair extensions in. So I had gone down and it had caught under my armpit, and I brought my head up all dramatic, and literally my extension came out and the entire room's like focused on you, and I'm like and then I think I tucked it in my boobs. So yeah.
That was hilarious. Thank you, Sandra.
Thanks, Sandra.
So, back to the whole ZES thing. How do you feel Zumba's evolved over the years?
I think they've catered to demand. You know, it's funny because Beta always talks about Madonna and her kind of transformation, that she adapts and she changes as she goes along, so she's current and she's relevant. And I think the company have done a very good job at doing that. So I think they've evolved according to who maybe the people are that are coming into it, who are the new instructors coming in. So I think they're doing quite a good job at trying to connect to those people. The older people might not like it so much, the ones that have been around from the very beginning. So that can be, you know, a bit weird for them when they fell in love with something that's had to transform. It's had to evolve. But yeah, and I think what's quite nice is that now that it's and also they had to adapt globally, because in the very beginning, because obviously, you know, it was based in the States, a lot of their marketing before we came in Europe and other parts of the world, we would be like, you can't say this. This is a really bad thing to say in the UK. But this means something different in our country. My gosh, good luck, you know, because they really had to play catch up with their success. You know, Beto always said to us, you know, I never saw this. That wasn't the plan. In terms of, you know, when he started out. So they then had to play catch up with their own success and evolve. And I think the biggest challenge they have is pleasing everybody, you know, which we know we can never do because everybody has an opinion, and because I think it's so personal to people. The people own it now. You know, I think it's the people's program, because the ZIN members and the instructors and the communities, you own it within your community. And so them adapting to still have their program while handing over to the instructors as well, it's a hard balance, and I think they've done well.
Yeah, that's good. Is there anyone that inspires you? It can be Zumba related or otherwise.
The biggest inspiration for me was Tanya Beardsley. She was wonderful. She was truly, truly wonderful. She just had this wonderful raw vulnerability and incredible presence. She was very humble. And she, if you remember, like some of the early footage, and even if you were at the early events, we were always like, 3 minutes, you step touch. 3 minutes, you do this. The next 3 minutes, you do this. She could step touch for 12 minutes. And everyone's like, Tanya. Like, you step touching for 12 minutes. You know, she just had this incredible presence in a room, and she just knew how to connect with people. And I think for me in the very, very beginning, she was huge for me, because I think it was her that I connected to. And a lot of people will say this, that she was their very first introduction to Zumba because of the video. You remember the
was that when you searched Zumba? It was Beardsley's the first one. I remember searching for that on YouTube.
Was it maybe the yellow? No, she didn't. She had black cargos that weren't Zumba. She had black cargos and I think a little blue top, and she had a bandana on. And it was actually at a line dancing conference or something. And she was teaching. That was a lot of people's introduction to the company, you know. So I think she was a big inspiration for a lot of people. So for me, you know, and also the company changed a lot for me when she left. Because and also, you know, if you're an instructor and you're looking at your ZIN volumes, you don't connect with every single song, you don't connect with every routine, you can't connect with every presenter. It's just impossible to do that. But what I found was that when she was in a ZIN volume, I taught every single track, every single song, and it wasn't because I loved the song or loved the music, I just loved whatever she did. It was just she, you know, and I think everybody has somebody that connects with them that way, so definitely, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And in fact, also let me say today, I'm sorry.
No, carry on.
So we have to change the battery.
Yeah, no worries, do bear with me. Do you want to swap places for a minute? Okay, do bear with me guys, sorry about this. Oh yeah.
Hi, what's this? Is this the mic?
Yeah, mic. Just.
Okay. So yeah, like the people who are, like the class that we did this morning, where's the camera?
Yeah,
The class that Hender and I did this morning, we did standing and seated, and the instructors that are teaching, maybe like a large group of people, maybe a variety of people. People are doing the class standing, maybe they're doing the class seated. And also not that, just the people that come to those classes and allow us to see what we don't often get to see if you don't have that experience in your own class. So I can talk about it at a training, I can maybe talk about it at an event, or I can have a conversation with somebody, but until you experience it in person, you don't quite have a true understanding of what it was. So the class that we did in March, Hender and I did our Wapping weekend, so the Sunday morning at Sarah Yendel's in Norfolk, was just the most inspirational and wonderful class, because they made us act really on our toes. We just had to go with, you know, what we were given on the day and improvise a little bit, and it was wonderful. And so that inspired us to do the class that we did this morning, and I think that's really cool. That's nice just to see everybody doing their version of what it is that we're delivering, that there's no right, there's no wrong, there are no rules, there are no regulations in any way who can or who can't do it. And that's really nice to see, and to be reminded of it. We preach it, but it's really, really nice to be reminded of it. So, yes. Is there,
Do you want to come this way?
Am I going that way?
Yeah, I'll come back. Should be back in a second. Okay, guys. Voila. She's back in the room. Here, just come closer. And, okay. Come on. Sorry, give us a second, guys. Okay, give us a second. Okay, sorry about this, guys. Let's have a look. Guest. Okay. Just fill the frame for me.
Fill the frame?
Yeah, fill the frame.
Want to see my nostrils?
Perfect. Yeah,
Hi.
Perfect. Just move back a little bit. Move back a bit more. Move back. Perfect. Carry on. Let's have a look. Let me throw the next question. So, how about your virtual classes? How did that happen?
Do you know, I actually loved the virtual classes when we started teaching. So we finished this whopping weekend the 13th, 14th, 15th of March. And of course, that was like the last stuff that happened. Then the schools shut the next week. So when people had started teaching the virtuals, I wasn't hugely convinced. And the Hender said, listen, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to do it. I think he had one on the Saturday. I said, okay, let me do one. I'll put it on the Sunday night. So I put it on the Sunday night. I think I only announced it either the Saturday morning. No, it was the Sunday morning. I said, listen, we're going to dance tonight. I had issues that first class. Now, if you remember, I did a lot of trial and error. We'd spoken as well. And Hender and I went back and forth to try something. Once it was set up and running, I loved it. I loved teaching the virtual classes. The only challenging thing about it was trying to help as many people as possible in that little bit before the class. That was quite challenging with just people on Facebook, people on Instagram, people on emails. Not everybody could get in. Not everybody saw their emails. Some went to the spam. You know, it was crazy. But to be able to still connect and to still see people, and also people from different parts of the world, I actually really, really, really enjoyed it. But then I was doing a little bit too much, because, you know, you're always available. So I had Facebook open, my email open, the Book When website open, the Instagram open. And I thought, you know, this whole time is going to be over before we know it. And as much as I enjoy this, I've actually not taken a break or taken time for myself. Also, my body was starting to say, that's enough. We actually, you know, we need a break. So some old injuries kind of playing up. So yes, I decided, you know, that's enough. I'll take a break. And what's happened in that break is I think quite a lot of the virtual classes have quietened quite a bit, because it's available for people, it's more accessible, or some might be a little bit, you know, bored of it. The weather makes a difference too. So I'm quite glad I've taken the break when I have. But the classes Hender and I did last night and this morning, oh my gosh. I was a wee bit sobby this morning. I was like, get off, go away. Because it was just so lovely to see everybody's faces. I think the virtual classes are really, really, really good if you're in a position to be able to hold them. So,
yeah, brilliant. Okay, so we've got a few questions here. I'm going to just go into Q&A. Okay, I'm just going to go through these quickly. Let's find the first question for you. Okay, this one's from Hender. It says, which country will you like to visit next and why? Not necessary visiting it for work.
Okay, is he hinting at a holiday? You're not coming, just so you know. I love Vietnam. In fact, Hender and I were chatting about this another time as well. I love Vietnam. I love to go back to Vietnam. I love the community, the Zumba community in Vietnam. I love the country. I'd like to go back to Thailand. I've been to Thailand, but only to Bangkok. So I'd like to do the rest of Thailand. And also, oh my gosh, Mexico, Brazil, Venezuela. I'd love to go to that part of the world.
Brilliant. Daryl, he asked, did you try the new program? What do you think? It's a new program. It's
there is a
4
new
elements and stuff. What have you heard about it? Have you heard it much?
Yeah, I think I can say this because I was tagged. So I was part of the. That's why he's asking, Daryl. You're such a wee snoop.
He's a naughty boy.
I love you. So I was over there at the office in March of last year. So they talked about, you know, this new program that was coming out. So they were looking for people that had a very specific background that can contribute to it. So I was brought in for, you know, like the meditation, the mindfulness, the yoga, the energy work. So they wanted different people with different backgrounds to see what can we make this. So I was part of, like, they call it like a lab. So it was 5 days. So we did 5 days in March of last year. Benjamin, what's his last name? From Benjamin and Rodrigo?
Right,
Benjamin.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Benjamin, I forgot
sure.
your last name.
Yeah.
Nena from Greece, and some others from the States, and one of the strong trainers as well. So we were all brought together and we did this lab and explained to us obviously what it was that we're looking for, this program based on, you know, the elements, but it was really about mindful movement. And that, you know, for me, movement is always mindful, but we're in this kind of crazy dynamic place that we don't always get a chance to kind of center and maybe do something else, and really to connect the mind with the body. So that's what they were looking at doing, and also with the breath, trying to pull lots of different elements together. So anyway, so we did this lab, we created a basic class format, working with the elements and putting different things together. I loved it. I loved it. It was awesome. It actually got me quite excited about having something else to teach. You know, I thought I would be excited to teach this. And so they said, okay, we're going to go away with this. We taught it to the office, and the office, like the staff, and they were like, okay, because obviously for Darren at the head office to convince people, this is what I want to do, it's like you have to see it in action, you know, with the people that really maybe truly represent that as well. So, you know, we're like, yeah, dancing with fire and going a little bit crazy, and then we were centering. So it was a really, really cool program. Then they said, okay, we're going to go away. We need to look at what do we need to work on, what works, we're going to test it. So that's what they did. So they've been doing it for all of the last year. So I understand that it just launched. When I left being Zess in last year, so I quit the beginning of September, and then I had my last training in November. So I didn't want to continue, and they'd asked, you know, would you continue with the new program? I said, no, it's time for me to I'm still going to teach Zumba. I love it. I'm going to be a ZIN, but I'm not looking at being involved in doing the trainings because I want to return to performing too. So I didn't continue with it. So I caught a little bit of the class with Natalia. No,
Yeah,
not Natalia.
she's one of the
Natalie,
strong.
yes.
Yeah, Natalia.
Oh, Tuesday, I think she did one on Tuesday. I completely forgot it was on, and I only caught the last 20 minutes. So it's not entirely the same as what we created, but also was only just a little snippet. So I'm curious, I'm interested to see, you know, what they do with it. I love that kind of content. It's not going to work for everybody, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah, oh, that's brilliant. Okay, next question is, where is the furthest you have traveled for Zumba? Angie asks.
India. Vietnam. I had to think, I was like, where are they? How far was my flight? Yeah.
Brilliant.
Asia.
Okay. Let's have a look. Just getting some more questions here. Let's have a look. Boom, boom, bada, boom. Bear with me. Got some nice comments. You got Gailey, Donna, you're a legend. Gina Graziani.
Oh,
I'm
hey,
so
Gina.
happy to be able to listen to both of you. Donna, you have such a beautiful, powerful spirit.
Oh.
Let's have a look. Lots of love on this. I'm just mowing through all these comments. Let's have a look. Would you consider becoming a Zess again?
No. No.
This is Elaine.
Elaine who?
Elaine
From
Flaherty.
Ireland.
Yes.
No, I think it was time. It was time for me to leave. It was a very, very hard decision to make, to step away. But you know, it's sometimes like you hold on to something too tightly because you love it so much. You know, there's so many aspects of something that you love. It's like a relationship, right? It's like no, I love you. But when you just know it's time, just because it's time for something new in your life, and also people change throughout it. So I always think of the company like almost like another person, you know, like an entity. So it's like if two people are going here, then maybe just something alters, something changes. It's like I was holding so tightly to it for so long because I love it, and not being scared to give it up or scared to move on. It's just the idea of the loss of it felt huge, you know, because it's almost like the end of something. Even though I knew I was going to keep teaching, and I love it, and I have incredible memories from it. But it took me, I've been looking to leave for a good little while, but it's like, do I really do it? I think I was just I needed something new. I needed to transition, and our time together had come. So yeah, so no, I wouldn't. I can't see it. I really don't think I would go back.
We still got you, Donna. You're doing classes.
But also, it's like our community. Like, I'm still in the UK's WhatsApp group. I'm like, I'm not allowed to leave. They're like, don't you dare leave. You know. So, but yeah, so because it doesn't matter roles and titles and whoever does what within the company. It doesn't matter. And I think that's the wonderful thing about our community and the program. I know they're those things that are necessary for a structure in order to do the trainings and do the teachings and to do the education side of it. But the thing that connects all of us is our sameness, you know, the things that we can all relate to. So I can't see me ever being out of that community. I'd feel very strange without it. Yeah.
Elaine also, will you be coming back to Ireland again?
Yes. Right, Elaine. Yes, I'm sure at some point when we're all free, I'll come over and have a wee jig.
Brilliant. So, yeah, I think we've had loads of comments. I think we're through with the questions on here. Let's have a look. We have a poll going as well. I'm going to, the results are, you've got 72 people. They voted yes, that they have attended a training and a class with yourself. And you've had 22 votes saying they haven't. So yeah, that's the poll.
72 people, awesome.
Yeah, so 77%
77%,
have attended your a class or a training with yourself. So yeah, you're yeah.
Thanks for attending.
Yeah, they'll need to go and attend an event. I'm sure. Are there any events or anything coming up? I'm sure there'll be something.
Yeah, so I have some events on hold that were supposed to happen in May. I was doing a movie magic weekend, so themed classes, and I was doing 3 or 4 classes, I think, over one weekend. So of course that all got delayed. So they're on hold. We haven't selected. I almost selected September, so I'm very glad now that we didn't. So yes, that's kind of on hold. So once that's up and running, but certainly if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I'll definitely post about it. But I have that coming up at some point, and definitely Hender and I will for sure do some more live events when we're all free.
Yeah, brilliant. Donna, do you want to introduce next week's guest?
Yes.
Okay. Next week's guest is.
It's Jose Rodriguez. Is that correct? Did I get his name?
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
He's a ZJ
from Maryland. A ZJ
from the US.
From the US.
Definitely. He's a lovely guy, actually. He's really cool. Give me a second. Him again. Ooh. Okay, brilliant. Do bear with me.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what are you getting out of these, and why are you doing it? What do you?
What do I get out of it?
Purpose for doing this?
So what I get out, I don't know. I'm a social person. So and I don't know. Last few years I've been. I've been a little disconnected from my Zumba peeps. I mean, I've been like connected, I've run a couple of classes a week, and I'm still connecting with my, my class participants. But it's always the instructors, the ZIN, and that's why I love Zumba. It's just the social aspect, and it's the people. As you mentioned, Donna, it's the people that you love. That's what I love about Zumba. Yeah.
So you've been missing that during lockdown?
I'm missing it, especially during lockdown. It's, to be honest with you, my business at the moment is it has, it's changed and we've become a little freer. So, and obviously there's a lot of technology involved, which I really love. I'm a bit of a tech geek. So, I've just incorporated the two things, my love for Zumba and the people. And, I don't know, I thought it was a nice concept.
I think it's great. I think it's really cool.
I hope people appreciate it anyhow.
No, I think they do, because obviously sitting here seeing everything that Adam's doing, it's a lot of work to pull it all together, but he's excited by it, so it's nice. But it's cool for there to be a space where you get to connect with and chat with people from all over the world. So yeah, good for you for doing it. I think it's really cool.
Bless you. Thank you so much, Donna. You are amazing. I really appreciate you coming. It's lovely to have you in Plymouth as well.
Thanks. Get the kettle on.
Bless you. Thanks, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Yeah, participating in our discussions. Tune in next week with myself and Jose. Thanks again. It's a goodbye from Donna.
Bye.
And a goodbye from myself. See you Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.